I thought retirement meant freedom. I thought I'd earned the right to choose my own ending. But somewhere between the visa office and that government hallway, I learned something nobody tells you. Your freedom only exists until someone changes the paperwork. Then you're just another foreigner standing in line, holding documents that don't mean anything anymore, watching your entire life get reduced to a stamp they won't give you. I had a home. I had a routine. I had someone who needed me. Or at least that's what I believed. And then one policy change, one new rule I didn't even know existed, turned everything I'd built into something illegal. Just like that. No warning, no grandfather clause, just a letter saying my time was up and a choice I never thought I'd have to make. If stories like these matter to you, hit that like button, drop a comment, and let us know where you're listening from. It helps us keep sharing these voices. This account was sent to us by a viewer who spent 5 years building a life in Thailand only to lose it all in a single immigration ruling. He wanted others to hear what really happens when the rules change overnight. The letter arrived on a Tuesday morning while I was eating cow at my usual spot near the lake. The envelope had a Thai government seal, my name typed in English below script I couldn't read. I opened it with my butter knife right there at the plastic table, thinking it was just a renewal notice. I read it once, then twice, then a third time, slower, trying to make the words make sense. Policy changes, new financial requirements, visa renewal denial, 45 days. I sat there, staring at the page, the soup going cold, feeling like the ground had shifted beneath my feet. The morning continued around me. Motorbikes buzzed past. A dog scratched itself under a tree, and I was holding a piece of paper that said, my entire life here was about to end. Benjamin was out shopping when I got the letter she had left early to hit the morning market, the way she did every Tuesday. I stayed at the table for another hour, reading the letter over and over, trying to find something I'd missed. Some loophole that would make it not real. But the words stayed the same. Insufficient financial documentation, revised income thresholds, mandatory bank deposit requirements. I didn't understand most of it, but I understood the end result. My retirement visa wasn't going to be renewed unless I met standards I hadn't even known existed. I thought about calling someone, but who? So I just sat there alone with the letter, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. That old familiar sensation of being powerless, of watching your life get decided by people in offices you'd never see, people who didn't care whether you stayed or went. Because to them, you were just a file number, just another Farang who'd overstayed his welcome. When I finally went home, I found Benjawan in the kitchen, putting away groceries. She looked up when I walked in, smiled that quick smile she always gave me when she was busy, and went back to organizing vegetables. I stood in the doorway holding the letter. What wrong? She asked. I held up the letter. Immigration sent this. There's a problem with my visa. She took the letter, scanned the Thai script quickly. Then she looked up at me. This say, you cannot stay. I nodded. Not unless I meet new requirements. Financial stuff I don't have. She was quiet processing. What this mean? I tried to explain as simply as I could. It means I might have to leave Thailand. Unless we find a solution. She went very still. You have to leave. When? I told her. For 45 days. Her face just sort of closed off, like a door shutting. Can you pay someone fix it? She asked. I shook my head. It's not that kind of problem, Ben. They changed the law. She stood there holding my letter. So you leave me. The words hit harder than I expected. I don't want to. I'm going to figure this out. But even as I said it, I wasn't sure I believed it. She handed the letter back and turned toward the sink. She didn't say anything else, just turned on the water and started washing vegetables, her movements faster than usual. I went to the bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed, feeling the walls close in around me. I kept thinking about the day I'd first arrived in Bangkok 5 years earlier. I'd just taken the buyout package from the city of Thompson after 32 years maintaining water infrastructure in sub-zero winters. The divorce from Linda had been finalized 3 months before. We'd split everything down the middle, and I'd walked away with just enough to start over, somewhere warm. I didn't have a plan exactly, just knew I couldn't spend another winter in Manitoba watching my life shrink to nothing. So I bought a one-way ticket to Bangkok. The first thing that hit me when I stepped off the plane was the air, warm and wet and smelling like flowers and exhaust. I remember thinking, this is it. This is what I've been missing. No more ice, no more scraping windshields at 5 in the morning. Just heat and color, and a language I didn't understand which felt like exactly what I needed. I found a cheap apartment in Sukhumvit, started learning how to navigate the city, how to eat street food without getting sick. It was lonely at first. Most days I'd wake up and not speak to anyone except the woman at the 7-Eleven. But it was a different kind of lonely than what I'd left behind. This was anonymous, clean. Nobody knew me here. Nobody asked about Linda or why my kids didn't call. 3 months in, I met Benjawan. I was eating at a small restaurant near my apartment, one of those places with plastic chairs and no English menu. She was the server. Maybe 23, then skinny and quick, with a laugh that surprised me. She asked what I wanted in broken English, and I pointed at something random. When she brought it out, she sat down across from me for a second and asked where I was from. Canada, I told her. She nodded. You live here for now? I said. She smiled. Thailand, good for life, cheap, warm? I smiled back. That's what I'm hoping. That's how it started. Just small talk between a lonely foreigner and a server who had a few minutes between orders, but I kept coming back. And she kept sitting with me when it was slow. Her English improved. My Thai didn't, but we understood each other enough. She was funny, quick, with a joke that caught me off guard. She wasn't trying to impress me. One night after closing, she asked if I wanted to go get a beer. We walked to a small bar and sat outside in the humid air drinking Singhar and watching the traffic. She told me about her family in Khon Kaen, how she'd come to Bangkok to make money to send home. I told her about Thompson, about the cold, about how my marriage had ended, not with a fight, but with a quiet admission that we'd stopped loving each other years ago. She listened without judgment. At the end of the night, she said, "You good man, Randy. I think you lonely." I didn't argue. 6 months later, we were living together. We moved to Udon Thani because Bangkok was expensive and she missed the north. I didn't mind. Udon was quieter, cheaper, less chaotic. We found a little townhouse near the lake, split the rent, settled into a routine. She cooked. I paid for groceries. We'd ride her motorbike around town, eat at the night market, watch Thai dramas. I didn't understand while she translated the funny parts. It wasn't romantic in any traditional sense. We didn't talk about the future. We just lived day to day, and that felt like enough. She was 28 years younger than me, which I tried not to think about, but it wasn't like that. Or at least I told myself it wasn't. She had her own life, her own friends. I felt useful again. Needed maybe. Like I had a purpose beyond just waiting around to die in some frozen suburb. But now holding this letter, I realized I'd never actually asked her what she wanted. I just assumed she was happy with the arrangement, and maybe that was my first mistake. I waited until evening to talk more about the letter. She'd spent the afternoon out with friends, and when she came home, she seemed in better spirits, but I needed her to help me figure out what came next. She was in the bedroom folding laundry, humming along to some Thai pop song. "Ben," I said. She looked up. "I've been thinking about the visa thing. There might be a solution." She set the shirt down, her expression cautious. "What solution?" I sat on the edge of the bed. "If we get married officially registered, I could apply for a marriage visa instead." She stared at me. "You won't marry me?" The way she said it, flat and direct, made me realize how it sounded. I mean, not like it's just for the paperwork. We'd have to show proof of relationship, financial support, maybe involve your family for documentation. She didn't move this because you need visa. She said slowly, 5-year, Randy, 5-year. "I stay with you. Now you need something, you ask. Before you never asked." The words landed like a slap. She was right. I'd never asked, never formally committed, never talked about the future. I just coasted along comfortable, assuming she was fine with things because I was. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "You don't think," she interrupted. "You don't think about what I want. You think I stay with the old man for fun." I flinched. "You won't marry me for paper." "How is this fair?" She turned away. Went back to folding with sharp, angry movements. "Will you think about it?" "Please," I asked. "I think about it," she said. But her tone said she'd already decided something I couldn't see yet. The next morning, I found a visa agency downtown. Cramped office above a 7-Eleven run by a middle-aged Thai guy named Som Kid who spoke confident English. I handed him the letter. He read it slowly, nodding. "New policy, very strict now. Many Farang have this problem." I asked what my options were. "You have 3 options," he said. "Marriage visa, education visa, or tourist visa run." He explained each one. Marriage visa required proof of relationship, joint finances, sometimes home visits. Education visa meant enrolling in language school, which felt absurd at 57. Tourist runs meant leaving every few months, which was risky. "What do most people do?" I asked. He shrugged. "Most people already left, sir. New rules very strict now. Government want only rich Farang or Fang with Thai family." I asked about the marriage visa specifically. "What would I need? Proof of income or 400,000 baht in Thai bank account season for 2 months? Marriage certificate. Photos together. Letter from her family." "How much is your pension?" he asked. I told him. He frowned. "Did math on a calculator? Not enough." "You need bank account with 400,000 baht. You have this?" "I didn't." "Then you cannot stay, sir." The consultation cost 2,000 baht. I left with a photocopied checklist and a knot in my stomach. That night, I brought up the marriage visa. Again, Benjawan was cooking pad crapo. The agent said, we'd need to register, officially. Show financial support. Your family might need to be involved. She stopped stirring, turned around. You, asking me, marry you. I guess I am, I said carefully. But it's for the visa to fix this so I can stay. She stared at me, then laughed bitterly. You want marry me for paper? Yes, this is what we do. Very romantic. I tried to explain, but the words came out wrong. It's not just for the visa. We've been together 5 years. You never say love, she cut in. You never say future. 5-year Randy, now you need me. Suddenly you won't marry. You think I stupid? I didn't think she was stupid. I thought she was exactly right. Will you help me? She turned back to the stove. I talked to my family. See what they say. That night, we ate dinner in silence. She finished first, got up without clearing her plate, went to the bedroom, and closed the door. A week later, Benjawan told me we were going to Kong Cayenne to see her family. We took a bus east, through rice fields and small villages. She didn't talk much, just stared out the window, texting someone. Her mother's house was a small wooden structure on stilts with chickens underneath. Her mother came out a tiny weathered woman who gave me a little way. Benjawan's brother, Nong, was there too. Stern man in his 40s, built thick from construction work. We sat on woven mats in the main room. Benjawan started explaining in Thai. I got beats, my name Visa Farang Mari Na Wrong. Listened his face, getting darker. When she finished, there was silence. The Na Wrong spoke to me directly. You won't marry my sister. It wasn't a question, Essa. I hesitated. Partly, the visa rules changed. If we don't get married, I'll have to leave Thailand, but I also care about her. We've been together 5 years. He didn't look convinced. How much money you have? I tried to be honest without sounding pathetic. I have a pension, small savings. It's enough to live on, but the new requirements want more. You own land, house in Canada. I shook my head. No, I sold everything when I moved here. Narong exchanged a look with his mother. She said something in Thai. He turned back to me. If you marry my sister, you take care of her. You understand? I nodded. You cannot take care. You go home. You don't make her problem. It wasn't a threat, just a statement, but it felt like a judgment. He asked more questions. Where we lived, how we met, what my plans were. I answered, aware I was being appraised. Finally, he seemed satisfied, or at least done. The mother brought out food. We ate mostly in silence. On the ride back, I asked if it had gone okay. She shrugged. They say okay, but they don't trust you. Why not? Because you old, because you farang. Because you only want marry for visa. The marriage registration happened on a Tuesday at the district office. It was the least romantic thing I had ever experienced. We showed up with passports, documents, and 2 random people. Benjawan had paid 200 baht each to witness. The official barely looked at us, had us fill out forms, sign papers, get photos taken, standing side by side with all the warmth of a DMV portrait. 20 minutes. At the end, he handed us a marriage certificate, stamped it, told us we were done. No congratulations, just paperwork. Outside. I asked if she wanted to celebrate. She looked at me like I'd suggested something absurd. Why celebrate? This is not real wedding. We went to lunch anyway. She ordered for both of us without asking what I wanted, which she'd never done before. She spent most of the meal on her phone texting. Over the next week, I gathered documents, bank statements, rental agreements, passport copies, photos of us together, which we had to stage because we didn't have many. We stood stiffly in front of the townhouse, trying to look like a happy couple. She didn't smile in any of them. The whole process felt hollow, transactional. The immigration office required proof of cohabitation, so I printed everything, utility bills. Her ID showing the same address, copies of our marriage certificate. I put it all in a folder and felt a creeping sense of dread that none of it would matter. The day I submitted the application at Udoni Immigration, I felt sick. The office was crowded with foreigners, mostly older white men like me, all clutching folders and looking anxious. When my number was called, I approached the desk. The officer was a woman in her 30s with perfect English. She reviewed my documents one by one. Finally, she looked up. You are married? Yes. When 2 weeks ago she nodded, looked back at the documents. Your income is here, but it is below the requirement. My stomach dropped. I thought if I was married, you still need 400,000 baht in Thai bank account or proof of monthly income combined with your wife. Do you have this? I didn't. You need to deposit 400,000 baht. Keep it there for 2 months, then reapply. I asked if there was any other way. She shook her head. This is a requirement. I walked out in a daze. Benjawan was waiting on her motorbike. I told her. She didn't react. Just said, so what now? I'll figure it out, I said. She let out a long breath. You always say that, Randy. We rode home in silence, and I gripped the seat, suddenly aware I was holding onto something that didn't want to hold me back. I spent the next 3 days trying to figure out where to get the money. I called my younger brother in Winnipeg, explained the situation. He was skeptical. "Why don't you just come home?" "Yeah, I have a life here," I said defensively. "A partner?" "You mean a girl half your age who leave you the second you run out of money?" he said bluntly. "It's not like that. Randy, I'm not giving you 12 grand so you can keep playing house in Thailand." "Come home," we argued, going in circles until he said he had to go. I hung up, feeling more alone than I'd felt in years. I tried selling my truck back in Canada, but the logistics were impossible. Looked into loans from Thai banks. Denied. No work permit. That's when Ben once suggested her brother might know someone who lends money. I was uneasy, but desperate. Naum connected me with a man named Witt, who operated from a car repair shop. Lean Thai guy, decent English smile that made me nervous. "I can do 400,000 baht," he said. "But interest is 5% monthly." I did the math. Predatory. It was going to bury me. "How fast?" I asked. 2 days. You signed paper." He pulled out a document entirely in Thai except for numbers. I asked about an English version. He shook his head. "Only Thai." He explained the terms. I asked what happened if I couldn't pay. He smiled. "Not friendly. Then we have problems, sir." Nong said something to Witt in Thai, then turned to me. "You pay him, Randy. Don't make problem for my sister." I signed the paper, without fully understanding it. 2 days later, I had 400,000 baht in a Thai bank account. I also had a debt I had no idea how to pay off. The 2-month seasoning period was agony. The money sat in the bank while I slowly went broke, paying interest to Witt and covering daily expenses. My pension barely covered rent and food. The interest payments ate my savings. I started skipping meals. Benjawan started going out more, visiting friends, staying late. I didn't ask where. I was afraid of the answer. I spent days at a coffee shop watching other expats, wondering if they were all one policy change away from disappearing. A Canadian guy named George told me he was leaving Thailand. New visa rules, he said. Can't meet the requirements. Used to be easier. Now they want everything. He was going back to Calgary to his daughter's spare room. It's not the country I moved to anymore, mate. They don't want us unless we're rich. I got emails from Witt every week about the payment schedule. The interest acred faster than expected. I did math over and over, trying to figure out how to make it work long term. There was no winning scenario, just different degrees of losing. After 60 days, I went back to immigration with my seasoned bank statement. I had everything they had asked for. The same officer reviewed my file. She seemed satisfied at first, then stopped, frowned. Your bank account address does not match your rental contract address. My stomach dropped. We moved recently. You need TM30 form. Landlord must file when you move. Without this, I cannot process. I asked how long it would take. She shrugged. Depend on landlord. Another delay. Another requirement I hadn't known about. I was so tired of fighting a system designed to make me fail. I went to my landlord, an older Thai woman who spoke almost no English, tried to explain using Google Translate. She looked confused, kept saying, "My Kaujai, I don't understand." I called Benjawan to translate. She showed up annoyed. Talked to the landlord in rapid Thai. They argued. Finally, Benjamin said, "She says she will do, but take time. Maybe 1 week, maybe more." Benjawan left on her motorbike without offering me a ride. I walked home in the heat 40 minutes, drenched in sweat. I'd passed my original visa expiration. I was on overstay. Every day now cost 500 baht in fines. It took 3 trips and 2 translators before the landlord filed the TM30. By then, I'd racked up over 7,000 baht in fines. Benjamin stopped coming home some nights. She'd text saying she was staying with a friend. I stopped asking which friend. The third time I went to immigration, I brought everything. The officer reviewed it all again. She looked up. "Okay, I can process now. But this is provisional visa. 90 days only. We will review your marriage during this time." 90 days, 3 months. Not that 1-year extension I'd hoped for, but it was permission to stay. I paid the fees, got the stamp, walked out feeling exhausted, rather than relieved. That night, I told Benjuan the visa had been approved. She was packing a small bag. "Where are you going?" "Bangkok. Visit my cousin." 1 week, she left the next morning without saying goodbye. On the 3rd day, I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. A photo. Benjawan at a nightclub with a younger Thai guy, his arm around her waist, both smiling. Below it, "Your wife, sir." I stared at the image, feeling nothing at first. Then something cold settled in my chest. Not anger, just clarity. I called her. She didn't answer. I called again. On the 4th try, she picked up. "What? Who is he?" I asked, voice flat. Silence. "Who?" "The guy in the photo someone just sent me." More silence. Music in the background. "A friend," she said finally. "Doesn't look like a friend." She sighed. "Randy, I'm 28. You think I stay with old man forever?" The words hit me. But they didn't hurt the way I expected. Maybe because I'd known this was coming. So that's it. You're done. She was quiet. When she spoke again, her voice was harder. I try. Randy, I help you. But you only need me for visa. I also have life. I want things. You don't give me things. You don't give me future. You just need me stay so you can stay. You think this fair? I wanted to argue, but I couldn't because she was right. I had needed her. I'd asked her to marry me, not because I loved her, but because I needed her signature. I'd hung my survival on her. I'm sorry, I said quietly. She laughed, bitter. You're always sorry, but sorry don't change nothing. A pause. I could hear her breathing. I'm not coming back. You can keep house. But I'm done. The line went dead. I sat there, holding my phone, staring at the photo, and I didn't feel angry. Just tired. So tired. She'd been right about everything. I hadn't loved her. I'd needed her. And you can't build a life on need. I stayed in Thailand for another 2 months, seeing out my 90-day stamp. Kept paying with his interest. Kept living alone. Kept going through the motions of a life that had already ended. Benjamin never came back. I heard from Nong once, a tore message saying she was living with someone else, someone her age, someone with a future. I didn't respond. I started making arrangements to leave. Sold what little furniture I'd bought, packed my 2 suitcases, booked a one-way ticket to Vancouver. I had a cousin there who said I could stay on his couch. On my last day in Udoni, I walked through the morning market one final time. The same vendors I'd seen for 5 years. The same smells, grilled pork and jasmine and exhaust. The same sounds. Thai language, motorbikes, birds I'd never learned the names of. I felt like a ghost moving through it all. At the airport, the immigration officer took my passport, stamped it without looking at me. I wondered if he knew my story. If I was just one of hundreds of foreigners cycling through each day. I collected my passport, walked to the gate, sat, and waited for boarding. On the plane, I got a window seat, watched Thailand disappear below the clouds as we climbed, rice fields and rivers shrinking into abstract patterns. I thought about what I'd lost, not just the country or the visa or the relationship, but the idea that I could escape myself, that geography could fix what was broken. I'd spent 5 years thinking I was building a new life, but really, I'd just been hiding from my old one. And the thing about hiding is eventually you run out of places to go. I didn't cry, just closed my eyes and let the hum of the engines fill my head. Somewhere over the Pacific, I realized the saddest part wasn't losing Benjamin. It was realizing I'd never really had her. She'd been there physically, sharing space, but I'd never known what she wanted, what she dreamed about. I'd loved the idea of her young, uncomplicated, content with what I could offer, but the real her, I'd never even tried to know her. The plane landed in Vancouver at dawn. My cousin was waiting. He gave me a hug, asked how the flight was. I said, fine. We drove to his apartment in Richmond. They set me up on the couch. That first night, I lay awake, staring at a ceiling in a country I'd left behind, in a city I didn't know, in a life that felt like it belonged to someone else. I thought about calling Benjawan, but what would I say? Sorry, I wasted 5 years of your life. So I didn't call, just lay there in the dark listening to traffic, and I thought about George, the guy from the coffee shop who'd gone back to Calgary. I wondered if he felt the same way I did, displaced, unmed, like a refugee from a life that had never really been ours. The rules had changed. Thailand had changed its visa policy. And guys like us, guys who weren't rich, who didn't have big bank accounts, we'd become inconvenient, expendable, and I couldn't even be angry, because on some level, it made sense. What had I contributed? What had I given back? I'd taken the cheap rent, and the warm weather, and the company of a woman young enough to be my daughter, and I told myself I'd earned it. But rights don't work that way. A few weeks later, I got a message from Wit. You owe 60,000 baht. When you pay, I'd missed 2 months while dealing with the move. I didn't have it. I wrote back saying, I was in Canada, couldn't pay, was sorry. He didn't respond. I hope he didn't try to collect from Benjawan. That would just be one more way I'd made her life harder. I found a job stocking shelves at a grocery store in Richmond. Minimum wage, night shifts, work I hadn't done since I was 20. But it was something. My cousin was patient, but I could tell I was wearing out my welcome. I found a basement suite in Surrey, shared with 2 other guys. We didn't talk much, just coexisted. It was lonely in a different way than Thailand had been. There, I'd been lonely because I didn't fit. Here I was lonely because I'd failed. Because I'd tried to build something, and it collapsed. And now I was 57 years old, living in a basement with roommates, working a job I hated, in a country that felt more foreign than Thailand ever had. Sometimes, late at night after my shift, I'd sit on the bus and think about Benjamin. I wondered if she was happy, if the guy in the photo treated her better than I had, if she ever thought about me, or if I'd just become a story she told her friends. I hoped she was happy. She deserved that. She deserved someone who saw her as more than a solution to a problem. One night, about 6 months after I'd left, I got a Facebook message from George. "Hey mate, heard you made it back to Canada. How you holding up?" I told him the truth. I'm okay working living in Surrey. It's different. He wrote back immediately. "Yeah, it is. I'm in Calgary with my daughter. It's not bad, but I miss it. You know, the warmth, the ease." I knew exactly what he meant. I wrote back, "Do you regret it going to Thailand in the first place?" There was a pause. "No, I don't regret it. I regret not having a better plan, not understanding the rules, but I don't regret trying. At least we tried, right?" I thought about that. "At least we tried," I wrote back. "Yeah, at least we tried. It wasn't much of a consolation, but it was something. I kept working, kept living in the basement, kept sending my pension to a bank account I barely touched. I'd lost weight, lost my tan, started to feel old in a way I hadn't in Thailand. Here everything was orderly and cold and quiet, and I felt like I was fading into the background. Just another old guy stocking shelves at Trayuks in the morning. I thought about dating, but I couldn't imagine it. What would I even say? So I didn't try, just worked and slept and waited for something to change. 1 year after I left Thailand, I got a notification. A memory from Facebook, a photo of me and Benj at the lake, taken 3 years earlier. Sitting on a bench, her head on my shoulder, both smiling. I didn't remember taking it, but looking at it now, I could see something I'd missed. She wasn't happy. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. She was performing, and I'd been too oblivious to notice. I deleted the photo, not out of anger, just because it hurt to look at it. I'm not angry at Benjawan. I'm not even angry at Thailand or the immigration system, because none of it was personal. It was just life. Just the reality that you can't build a future on need, that visas expire and people leave and rules change. And if you don't have a foundation deeper than convenience, eventually it all falls apart. I should have known that. Should have planned better. Should have been honest with myself about what I was doing and why, but I didn't. And now I'm here, and she's there. And the life I thought I was building turned out to be nothing more than a story I was telling myself, just another foreigner passing through. The rules changed, that's all, and I was never going to win. I still think about Thailand sometimes. Not with longing exactly, more like a dream you had once that felt real until you woke up. I remember the heat and the sounds and the way the air smelled before the rain. I remember eating pad thai from a street cart at midnight. I remember riding on the back of Benyuan's motorbike through Udonni at dusk, the sky turning purple, feeling for just a moment like I belonged. But I didn't belong. I was always just visiting, just a guest who stayed too long. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's all it was ever supposed to be. A chapter, a detour, a place I stopped for a while. I don't know where I'll go from here. Don't know if I'll stay in Sorry or keep drifting. But I know I'm tired of running, tired of needing, tired of hoping that the next place or the next person will fix whatever's broken inside me. Maybe nothing will fix it. Maybe I'm just supposed to live with it. The rules changed, and I changed with them. And now I'm here telling this story, hoping someone out there hears it and understands that freedom isn't just about warm weather and cheap rent. That home isn't just about geography. That love can't survive when it's built on need instead of choice. I learned that the hard way. The clock is ticking, and the paperwork always wins.